Hi, everybody. Welcome to a new version of my show. This one is called The Bottom Line. So once every month or 6 weeks, I'm going to take a little bit longer with a special guest and get some more depth conversation going. And today I'm thrilled to have Zibby Owens on my show. She is a podcaster of the Moms Don't Have Time to Read Books fame and a mother of four. Welcome to the show, Zibby.
Thanks, Marty. Thanks for having me.
This is so exciting. So I got to be on your podcast late last year, and now having you on the show is really kind of a cool karmic circle, if you will.
Congrats on your show. That's awesome.
Thank you. So tell us a little bit about, your family and what you guys are doing right now in this fall scenario of school and work and home and all that.
My family, well, I have 4 kids. My oldest son, they range in age from 5 to 13, and my oldest son is away at boarding school. And my other 3 kids are here and going to school in person. The little guys go, they're in kindergarten and first grade. They go just for half a day, and then they do Zoom for the continuation of the afternoon at home. Okay. And my other daughter, who's 13 as well, I have twins, she goes full day every day.
Okay.
So, I know, crazy.
So the house gets quiet for a little while each day.
Yeah, we have 3 hours of quiet, which is lovely.
So, and what about your husband, Kyle?
He's here. We're all in New York. There's no more travel. He used to work a ton in LA and does not do that anymore. So, we're like on Zooms all the time. And my sister-in-law is living with us here now too. And so it's just, we've got dogs and chaos and Zooms and, even the quiet times are not so quiet.
Absolutely. So what is it? I mean, how are you doing overall with all of this right now?
With all of this in terms of like the quarantine and pandemic type stuff, or yes?
Yeah.
How am I doing? I mean, I don't know if you know, I lost my mother-in-law and my grandmother-in-law to COVID over the summer. And so Kyle and his sister Stephanie's mom and grandmother, and we've inherited her 2 dogs. So they're living here with us now. I'm like, okay, it's hard and I am still grieving, but it's not my personal loss that's the hardest. It's watching them 2 grieve and having the finality and the reality of it sink in. So particularly Stephanie. So we're rallying around her and trying to support her as best they can. And of course, there's like the unpredictability of it. So a lot of times everybody's great and in good moods and we're all just running around and listening to music. And then you don't know. It just from one minute to the next, it could be one of those times, which is like, that's what grief is all about. So we have that added layer of sort of unpredictability and raw emotion sort of circling about the day to day as well.
Mm-hmm. And for the most of the pandemic time, were you able to see them at all? Or were you in a lot of isolation during that time?
We were not allowed to see his mom. Well, no, we didn't see them the whole quarantine and like from lockdown starting in March, and didn't see his grandmother again. And they're all super close. And his mother, Kyle, got to see her to say goodbye. They let him in the hospital her last 2 days to say goodbye. Mm-hmm. But I did not. I saw her on FaceTime a few times.
I'm so sorry that you went through that as a family.
Thank you. So that's like added a different sort of tenor and tone to the beginning of the school year. So yeah. whereas I might have, prior to this, I had the expected anxiety and the school Zooms and all of that, and being isolated with just the family and all of that was hard and disruptive, and the whole state of the world and all the collective grief and everything. But now that this kind of bigger thing has happened, it puts the rest of it in perspective for me, at least. So I don't find myself complaining at all about Zooms, and I'm delighted that everybody is safe who's here now. So it's just a different mindset, I guess.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. And when did the kids start back to school in New York? Is that recent?
September 14th.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're doing hybrid here, so we have these. It's like a roller coaster. Some days we're in, some days we're home. It's a little bit confusing at times. So you're co-parenting with your kid's dad, and they're with him sometimes, and they go to school from his house and then with you and go to school from your house?
Yep.
Has that been hard at all, the co-parenting piece in all of this?
It brings its unique challenges. I'll leave it at that.
Such a diplomat. Okay. Okay.
We're not always on the same page. If we were, we might be married still. So for whatever reasons that we got divorced, there are always issues in communication and all the rest. So yeah, it's posed some unique challenges.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What would you tell most working parents right now who are trying to do work from their home and kids are in and out either at school or on Zooms or, part-time or sometimes? What should parents be thinking about?
Oh my gosh. I don't know. It's hard. I mean, we all know how hard it is. It's completely distracting and there's like this lingering feeling of guilt. And is this important? And is this particular meeting worth being away from my kids? Like there's this added layer of awareness that what you're doing is separate. It's a choice. Like it feels like everything is such a choice all the time where it's not like you do this is your job. Like if you left the house, I mean, I never really left the house. I love working from home, but it's very distracting and it's hard. But if you have the ability to get somebody to help out with the kids, even if it's an older sibling or, my sister-in-law is upstairs now helping with the kids and just any family or friends, then it's okay to make the time for you to work without guilt. Like that's just, you should do it. And appreciate, I guess, that your kids are close by. I saw some big thing in the New York Times about how all these CEOs were delighted that they could finally have family dinners for the first time. And there are some silver linings to the excess time around everybody. So I guess trying to, but I don't know. I mean, I'm just in it too. It's like, it's stressful and it's hard to focus sometimes with constant disruption, but I don't know. I guess I would say it's not going to be like this forever. I mean, I'm knocking wood, like God willing, eventually we go back to some other form of life and you just don't know. Maybe these are going to be your best times you've ever had in your entire life. And while you're in it, they can be challenging, but when they're over, you look back fondly and wish you were still there. So who knows? I think just leaving yourself open that even though it's hard doesn't mean it's necessarily all bad.
Mm-hmm. What do you do when the guilt comes after you? How do you handle that?
Sometimes I just remind myself that I'm setting a good example of hard work and pursuing my passions and helping other people, and that I want my kids to find that joy and sense of purpose in their own lives when they grow up and, throughout their lives. And by modeling that, it's more important than what I could have done sitting on the floor with them for that half an hour, that maybe this example setting is worth it. In the end, and giving back and contributing to the world at large is important. And also that they're happy, like they're happy playing and hanging out and doing whatever, they are okay. They're self-sufficient. And I sometimes think about, the olden days where all the kids were like on the streets playing baseball in the yard and playing in the back. And I mean, I don't have that life. I live in New York City, but I've seen movies about it and it sounds nice. And those kids all survived, you know what I mean? Like we don't need to, the level of hovering that I had been accustomed to is probably detrimental anyway. So it's okay to let them play. I can come out and say hi. That's the other thing that I do. I mean, I'm always like, I do something and then I go and hang out with them for 20 minutes and then I come back into my room. And sometimes I'm like, this is okay for you to come bother me, but this is not okay for you to come bother me. So, or sometimes I set them up with their iPads, like in the room with me. So we're together and okay, great. It got to the point this summer where I was like, okay, I'm doing a podcast. And they were like, great, we'll get our iPads. And I'm like, no. So, yeah, I guess that's how.
So the podcast, and you had a magazine over the summer. I mean, your work has been really growing during all this time. Can you tell us a little bit about what's been going on with the show and your new show?
Sure. Yeah. So before the pandemic, as you know, I had my podcast, Moms Don't Have Time to Read Books, and I had an accompanying series of in-person events, like an author salon at my house that I did every couple of weeks. And I did a lot of bookstore events. And I had 2 book fairs each year where I sold all the books from the podcast in my apartment and had like everybody I know come shop and meet all the authors. And those things were really fun. And I loved the community building of it and introducing people. I just love like connecting people. And And then when the pandemic hit, I quickly regrouped and felt like this calling, honestly, to help all the people who had books coming out. Because how, after all that work and effort and everything, what was going to happen. So I started an Instagram live show called ZIGTV, and I did it 5 days a week for months, and I had 1 to 4 interviews each day, and kind of got in the habit of doing that, and that was fun. And that ended up actually winning some awards and all that, which is hilarious. I also started Zibby's virtual book club, which I did throughout the summer every week. Now it's every other week on Tuesdays, where we do half an hour of book club discussion with just the group, and then the second half an hour the author joins for Q&A. So that's been really fun. We've had some great authors. And I did a show with my husband Kyle called KZ Time, where we interviewed other couples. And then I started We Found Time, and it was a quarantine magazine. So every week there would be essays only by authors who had been on my podcast, writing about things that moms didn't have time to do, as like the general themes. Moms don't have time to breathe, work out, eat, read, and have sex. So I had authors write about all those. And I can probably say it now because this isn't coming out until a little bit, but it's actually going to be an anthology.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I'm really excited about that. So that's good. And yeah, so I just had to regroup. I had to just pivot, and I didn't view it as like, oh, how can I handle this? It was more like, what can I do to help? Like, I can't be a doctor. I can't help find a vaccine. I can't do all that stuff. But I can help authors. And that's what I did. And now, in addition to all that, I stopped a lot of that stuff when I felt like things were getting back to normal, and I thought that we were about to be back in normal land, and we are not. But anyway, I stopped the Instagram live regularity of that show, and now I do them from time to time, especially with authors who I've already had on the podcast who have a new book coming out. So I can just get more attention to that book. So I still do those. I still do the book club. I still do the Moms Don't Have Time to Read Books podcast 5 days a week. And I just started a new community called Moms Don't Have Time to Lose Weight, which was completely accidental. I had this moment where I just was feeling awful and just so not proud of my body. And this quarantine weight has crept up, and I have not focused on myself and my own needs, and everything's been slipping. I've turned to food for all my emotions and all the rest. And I finally sort of had to face, I had to come to terms with it. When I came back here to New York City, we were out of the city for 6 months, and my clothes were not even close to fitting. And I was oh my gosh.
I feel like we've all had that moment of reckoning at some point. For me, it was fall clothes, and same feeling.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. Uh-oh. And I don't want to go out and buy new clothes. And
right.
I don't even have the time. I don't have the energy. I don't want to spend the money. I don't want to do, and I like my clothes. So anyway, it was just oh my gosh. And I just felt so hopeless. What have I done? How can I undo it? And it's going to take forever if I even can motivate, which I can't. So I just sat down on the side of my bathtub, and I always share a lot on Instagram. I'm very open. It's at Zibby Owens. And I just, I don't think I overshare, but I'm very open about my feelings, especially feelings I believe other people are probably feeling as well. So I wrote about how I felt. And at the end, I was it's really hard to do this alone. And does anyone have any tips? And I was overwhelmed. I mean, the amount of comments, people calling me, friends texting me, DMs, everybody had a tip. Everybody had an experience they wanted to share, a similar feeling, a doctor, a nutritionist, out of the woodwork. And I was I started putting them on little stickies next to my desk. And by the end of the day, my desk was covered in yellow sticky notes. And I was this is nuts. And I was there's something going on here. There's a need for me to aggregate this information and get everybody together. And I quickly realized everybody has different advice, right? But everybody wanted to feel a part of something. And I had all these people being you want to be my accountability partner? Should we send each other our food and blah, blah, blah. But so many people. So the next day I started Moms Don't Have Time to Lose Weight on Instagram. And I made it a by request community. So, not you just have to request, and I'll ask you if I don't think you're, are you interested in making small changes to feel better in your body tomorrow than you do today? And it's not about weight loss. That's not everyone's goal. I have a goal. I have lots of other goals too. I want to be more fit. I want to have less pain when I stand up and feel better in my body. But so there are lots of different goals people are pursuing, and I knew they would do them in different ways, but if we all did them together, it would be a lot more effective. So, so I started the community, and now I have 700 people, which is crazy. I thought I'd have 30 or something. Anyway, and I used to be a Weight Watchers leader for a short period of time in my life, which I didn't even think would ever come up again in my life. And now here it is. But so I have some history with coaching and helping people through weight loss. But I'm not preaching any plan. This is completely program agnostic, and it's free. And it's really just the supportive community that I think we all really long for right now. I know I did. I'm posting a lot, and I'm posting about my journey essentially to try to get back in shape. And I'm not saying that I have any of the answers, but I'm here's a snack that's working for me today. What's working for you? Or, I had something upsetting happen to me, and I'm here standing in the kitchen in front of this bowl of brownies. Should I to brownie or not to brownie? What do you think? What would you do? What advice would you give me? And then people read the things people say to me, they read them for themselves. So the comments are just as important as the posts. And we have member tips in the stories for all sorts of recipes. And I don't know, somehow I'm okay, so now I'm a weight loss coach too. And then yesterday I launched the podcast for that, because I was asking everybody in the group, what could I do to make this more effective? Would you prefer, a Zoom session once a week where we all meet face to face and vent or whatever? Would you like a podcast? Would you like this, that, or the other thing? And everybody said they wanted a podcast. Mm-hmm. So my podcast is just a conversation each week with somebody in the community about their weight loss journey. And it can be ongoing. It can be different types of things. Some people are coping with aging and more premenopausal, slowdown of metabolism. Other people are have lost 100 pounds and want to talk about how that affected their sense of self and everything. And some people, are over exercisers and trying to get that under control and coming to terms with the fact that they're not emaciated and their body type is what it is. So it's just friends talking. And I feel that support is what's missing, as we're all so fragmented and off in our own spaces. So I'm trying to bring us all together in that way too.
Mm-hmm. I love that those are not expert interviews with tips. These are actual people sharing, just what it's like. And it's a super emotional topic, right?
Yes, it is. In fact, I interviewed someone yesterday, and she's I've never actually talked about this. She's I can go out on the road. She's a published author. She's a badass, in her industry, in her day job. And she's I've never actually talked publicly about my weight ever. And, it's a very vulnerable place to put people in. And I really appreciate the conversations. And, I don't want to be hawking product. I don't want to be saying, I could have done 1 week we're interviewing a Whole30 expert, and 1 week we're, the person who wrote this book on weight loss. And I just don't want to do that. People can buy those books if they are interested. I don't know. I think people learn more from each other in this way. We share tips. People know. That's the thing with weight loss and sort of getting in control of your bad habits in any regard. People generally know what to do, but it's doing it that's the hard part. And the secret, I think, is doing it together. So that's what I'm providing.
Mm-hmm. So do you feel really busy?
Oh my God, I'm so busy.
Okay, you sound really busy. Does it feel?
I am so busy. Yes, I am so busy. It's getting very overwhelming. I am fast. I do everything quickly, and I'm really efficient with my time and very focused. I emails, thank God I type really fast. I read really quickly. I process things quickly, but even at my warp speed, it's, I might need to hire somebody, but I'm how can I hire anybody to read my emails? Do you know what I mean? I'm not going to do that. What does that even mean? What, I'm not going to read my own DMs. People are talking to me. I'm not going to have somebody respond. So I'm trying to figure out what to do, because I can do it, but I'm teetering on the brink of not being able to keep up at all. But yeah, I don't sleep much. I go. And then like once or twice a month, I have like huge nights of sleep to make up for it. And I don't know. I'm just doing the best I can. And I'm trying obviously to be with my kids when they're here. So yeah, it's a lot, but it's exciting. That's the problem. It's like, it's so exciting. I'm so passionate about everything I'm doing. And it's all like, it just, I don't know. There's so much I could do. And I just keep getting all these new ideas and projects. And it's hard for me to ratchet it back. So it's all like really fun stuff. So that's why it's hard to scale back.
Yeah. So when you think about your creativity, what are the like conditions in your life you need to feel your most creative, to have all these ideas coming to you?
I have to say, I think my husband is like the key to unlocking my creativity. When we met, he's super creative himself. He and I just like are constantly bouncing ideas off each other. And there's something about our sort of chemistry or relationship or whatever that just brings it out in me. And, it's his encouragement and support, but it's more than that. It's some sort of alchemy I can't put my finger on that happens between us. And so I think having him in my life, especially, he's my second husband, and I'm just so appreciative for everything he brings and the type of guy he is. And I truly believe that our combination makes both of us super creative. He's now a producer and a music producer and a film and TV, has a whole production company himself that he founded. So, and we do some things together, like he's optioned a few books from my podcast. And so we have all this collaboration. Other things that make creativity possible, it's sort of like the more I'm doing it, the more it's coming. Like I've turned on the faucet. I guess, also I'm lucky and unlucky in that I have these breaks where the kids go to my ex. So I do remember who I am, and when I'm not constantly folding laundry, and you know what I mean? Like I have time to remember who I am as a person. And I had, years where I did not have that time to get in touch with myself again. So the sort of the ducking under the rainstorm, like under an overpass feeling, well, to let that is important. But a lot of people don't have that, who are still married to their first husbands. And I'm not recommending divorce. It was horribly painful. And if you can avoid it, avoid it. But, I think being with the right person or help, getting what you can out of your existing relationship. Also, I've found I've expanded like my friend group, my network group to like, network is such a wrong word, but just like my web of people in my life are also really creative. And that's exciting. So I don't know, and allowing myself time to like walk the dog across the park and think about things and, be aware when ideas hit me, like in the middle of the night, which is what often happens, or, this, and writing things down and reading a lot. Like I'm always reading. I'm just like in it. I feel like I'm in a total information flow mode. Pitches for all these different books, even if I'm not even reading them, I'm constantly hearing different ideas and stories. And I don't know, I'm just like in this, like, I feel like I'm like back in college. It's really awesome in a good way,
So 2020 in a way has given you a lot of those conditions. I mean, a lot of focused time with your husband to have energy and have time together when maybe he would have been traveling before.
Yes. 100%. Yeah. I mean, and also I used to do my podcast in person, which I loved because I love meeting people and being face to face and, hugging them goodbye and giving them a cup of coffee. And, I really like that life. However, I can fit in so much more now that I'm doing it all virtually. So, I can do 2 podcasts an hour. I can do 6 in the morning before I even pick the kids up, and I'm done for a whole week of podcasts. So it's made my output much quicker and more robust.
So what do the kids do when you're busy? I mean, you're probably on your phone or on your screen a lot. How does that sort of work out in your house? Do they run through your meetings? Do they knock when they're not supposed to? Or
they have definitely popped into lots of podcasts. There's a door behind me, and sometimes the person on Zoom sees the kids coming in before I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes they come in. I am on my phone. I try to always say what I'm doing, like not just like I'm on my phone, like, hey, like, because a lot of times I'm on my phone too, it's kid stuff, right? I'm emailing, your sister doesn't want school at lunch anymore. She wants to bring her own lunch. I'm emailing the guy from the cafeteria right now. Or just to say, like, I'm not just like on my phone. I'm actually texting, your grandpa because I don't know. So just like letting them know what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
Or I show them the book, like, yeah, here are the two books. I have two book events, and here are the books like that I'm doing today. Oh, what are they about? So we talk a lot about the books I'm covering, and occasionally I'll read, I do some children's books. I'll read the books to the kids. I'll interview people specifically because the kids like the books of theirs. So I try to loop them into the podcast. And then sometimes they tell me that when they miss me at their dad's house, they listen to my podcast. And that kind of breaks my heart, I know. But my older daughter definitely listens to my podcast regularly. And yeah, I mean, sometimes they're like, Mom, stop reading, spend time with your kids, So I'm like, okay, let's, so, and I read with them for fun a lot. And so I don't know, I'm doing the best I can, but yeah, I'm busy. And then again, they know sometimes they get iPad time if I have an important podcast. And sometimes I have my babysitter come even just to help while I'm doing this, and like she'll do really cool stuff, or she'll moderate some Zooms while I'm busy, and we'll all be working. I'm trying not to feel guilty about that. And yeah, just like setting aside though times that I know, like every Tuesday at 5, we do cooking together. We have our like cooking class that we all do, and that's fun. And I look forward to that. And we always all have dinner together and meals together. And anyway, I'm rambling, but every day is different, but
Yeah.
I always schedule, somebody was like, well, you should hire somebody to help with all your scheduling. That must take forever. And I'm like, yeah, but I have all these things. Like, okay, if I have this podcast, then I need at least an hour, because I know they'll want to have lunch, and then they'll want to play. And then maybe I need, but if I have this at night, then I can't have it the next night, because that's going to interfere with bedtime. And I don't know. It's like this delicate dance I do with my own scheduling. So
Yes. It sounds like the Matrix in a way, and only you can see it.
Yes, that's how I feel. That's how I feel.
So you mentioned dinner and a cooking class. Are there any other traditions that you as a family have formed during this crazy year that you want to continue doing?
I mean, we always used to eat dinner together, so some of the things are not new. It's nice we can eat lunch together during the school week, because I used to eat at school.
Mm-hmm.
So I would like to still do that as long as they're home. We celebrate Shabbat. We're Jewish, and on Friday nights we light the candles and everything. And we used to do that, but now Shabbat's like on Zoom. So sometimes now it's nice on Friday nights just to put it in the background and hear some of the music. And I never would have done that before. So that's nice as a way to mark the end of the week. And I might keep that up. Mm-hmm. Although I just realized I forgot this week, but don't tell anyone. And what else? Yeah, I love doing these cooking classes. We do a lot of reading. We've been spending a lot of time out of the city, like jumping on the trampoline and taking lots more walks with the dogs and all that stuff. So I just, want to keep all that up.
Yeah. And what are you letting go of, just not worrying about anymore as we've been in this crazy year?
I mean, 2 weeks ago, I would have said my weight.
Not anymore.
But now I'm focused on that again. What am I not worried about anymore? I mean, I'm only doing things I want to do. Like, I'm not going to events that mean that much to me. I'm not willing to leave my kids for more than like work and family, like, I've given up, I guess, like the things I feel obligated to attend, even via Zoom. Just not going to do. I can't do everything. And I think I've given up the illusion that I ever could.
Did you feel like you did that before?
I just feel like I used to run around all the time. I was like always running around and
Mhm.
well, let's pop in here and let's pop in there. And like, but this author's important to me. I want to pop into her book launch, but then I need to go to this like school event. And then I really should go to this thing because I'm on the board of this organization. I should really go to that. And I should really do this. And I just can't do all this anymore. And live the life I want. And that's okay. So I was afraid even coming back to New York City that the city itself would make me crazy again. And it hasn't. It hasn't yet, probably because everything is sort of compromised here still anyway. But
Mhm.
yeah, I just I'm in a way I'm taking it slower in some ways so I can take it faster in other ways. But I can't have it fast in all ways. It just doesn't work. So, it's like different, like I'm circling different plates on sticks,
Yeah.
So,
What are the things you do just for yourself when you really need to fill your own cup back up? What do you do?
I mean, I feel like everything I do fills my bucket. Like my whole enterprise or whatever it is I'm doing is so exciting to me. So like it's so exciting, and it incorporates all the things I love. Like I get to read amazing books and I get to talk to amazing people and really learn about people, which I love doing. Like I love sitting and like figuring out, like hearing about people and learning what makes them tick, and like getting to know people. I just love that. And like, so all the things I'm doing, like I just feel incredibly lucky because everything I'm doing is filling my bucket, honestly. Yeah, I mean, it really is. I feel my bucket is very full right now. um, but when I'm not doing all that stuff, I don't know. Nothing. What else fills my bucket? I don't know. Occasionally we see friends, not often.
Mhm.
Um, I don't know. I don't know. I just feel like it's all of a piece. It's all sort of interwoven in my life right now.
Mhm. That must be how you can keep it all going. I mean, if it all feels rejuvenating and not draining, that helps, right?
Yes,
Um,
100%.
what do you think if you were putting together a sort of a T-shirt for working moms to wear around right now? What would it say on it?
Oh my God, I want leave me alone.
I like that one. I would wear that.
um, yeah, or maybe something encouraging like "We got this" or something like that. But yeah, I mean, I would probably want to wear a T-shirt that said "Leave me alone." Actually, what I was thinking would be really funny, um, and I don't know if I can pull this off or not, but as I get to know people and find out all the things you don't know, right, about somebody, and just this, there's so much always going on under the surface,
Mhm.
and yet people don't operate that way with each other. Like,
Mhm.
how great would it be if I made these T-shirts? It's like, you like click the boxes, like as if it's a doctor form, like
Mhm.
going through infertility treatments, just lost my father, like recovering alcoholic, or waiting to hear about it, just like all these things that if you knew, you would be so compassionate,
Yeah.
but you don't know. It would be just so great if we could just wear it. We could like essentially like wear our emotions on our sleeve. I think
Yeah.
that would be kind of cool, but we'll see.
Well, I think, we've talked that saying is out there, always be kind. You don't know what someone else is going through. But this year has really layered it on top for folks. I mean, what you guys went through as a family, what families are going through with job loss, what they're going through with the stress of educating their kids from home while work. I mean, all of that layering on top. And those are the stories, the ones you mentioned in your check boxes, those are the ones we don't even tell,
That's what I mean. Yeah. The stuff that's under there. Yeah. Like
yeah.
just had a miscarriage, or my daughter has whatever disorder, my daughter's autistic, or
Mhm.
just all these awful, all these things, all these challenges that are under the surface. It would be so nice if we all just could know them about each other and then treat each other as gently as if we did. But it's a
Right.
fantasy.
Well, if you get those t-shirts, let me know. I'll wear one. um, so is there anything about combining, motherhood and your career that you feel like is, that you really want to share or get off your chest, or anything like that about that combination? Because 4 kids and this growing empire, that's a lot.
I would just say I involve my kids as much as I possibly can in it.
Mhm.
Um, and it's something, at least what I'm doing, it's just so clear. I'm not like trading derivatives or something on
Right.
Wall Street. Do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I'm doing something really obvious. I'm reading a book and talking to an author, or I'm helping people with their bodies, or I'm like, the things I'm doing are obvious. And so I think just bringing my kids into it as much as possible has been the most helpful.
Mhm.
Getting them excited, weighing in, should I do this? Should I not do this? What do you guys think? What do you think of this logo versus that logo? Like I ask them about everything I'm doing. So it feels like we're all doing it together.
Oh, that's really cool. I think I'm gonna try that tip. Because my son said to me the other day, why can't I have a mom with a normal job? Why do I have to have a mom who started a business?
Uh,
I don't know what he thinks a normal job would offer that this is not somehow giving him or something. He was very frustrated with me. But yeah, I think that's maybe really a helpful idea. So they feel part of it with you, and especially your older kids, as they can really get more and more into the books you read and things like that. I do have a specific book question. So you have 13-year-olds. So when did you let them read things like The Hunger Games or Twilight? Do you have a threshold of how you've assessed like when they're ready to read what?
um, I went to the book fair in 5th grade with my son at school, and
Mhm.
he had a bunch of those types of books in his checkout bag. And the teachers were like, I think you should reconsider that. Like, why don't you hold off till you're a little older?
Mhm.
So I remember holding off on some of those. Now, I if they're reading, I am fine with it.
Mhm.
Like they know what they like. It's really my son. My daughter more is into like, you know, grazing through books, I would say. But my son's books, I don't have any restrictions.
Mhm.
He can find what he likes, and he doesn't tend to like things that are not appropriate. He likes 13-year-old boy books that everybody's reading. So
Yeah.
I haven't had the issue where I felt like, maybe like some of the later Harry Potter books, I was like, I've heard these are kind of dark, but then they start them and they don't like them. And he's like, yeah, this is dark. I'm not going to read this one. So
Mhm. So they kind of self-regulate in a way with
yes,
that.
they
Yeah.
do.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a good tip. Our daughter's 6th grade, so I was kind of wondering that myself, and I thought Zibby will know. She's got kids in this who just went through this age group.
Yeah.
Um,
As long as they're reading.
well, and I think you're obviously teaching them to talk about what they read and discuss it, and have
Yes.
it's not like they're going to read it in a corner and you won't know. I mean, I'm sure you'll hear in some capacity what they read.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, see? There's now someone behind the couch.
So what's one question you think I should ask my next guest about motherhood and career that I didn't ask you?
Um, Nothing. I think you did a good job.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you. Thank you so much for being here. I will let you get back to your little visitor over there.
Okay, thanks.
Really appreciate your time and having you on the show, and hope all of our listeners have enjoyed this, and hope to see you again soon. Thank you.
Thanks so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Sure thing. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye.